making Gen Z is reshaping the future work, probably because they're not at work.
What are some of the stereotypes you've heard about Gen Zs in the workplace?
They're lazy.
Our attention span is very short.
Gen Z
They are.
people are lazy and we
Yeah.
seek answers immediately.
We're a little bit too carefree.
With their social
I mean, carefree isn't bad, and seeking answers right away isn't bad either. But the the attention span thing, I have a few Gen Z sisters, and the attention span thing is real.
media habits, slang, and lifestyles, Gen Z seems to have a bad reputation, especially in the workplace. But are the complaints true?
They tend to be entitled.
Yeah.
They tend to not be loyal.
I don't think any of us.
I mean, loyalty. The companies are less and less loyal, so why should they be loyal? I actually agree with Gen Z. I agree with job hopping. I agree with finding a place that you belong in. For example, if you're now working for a company and they're like praising how good you are. You are the best sales rep we've had for 10 years. You're doing so good, Mr. Gen Z. And they're going, oh, thank you so much. Can I get a raise for all the hard work? Nah. Why shouldn't they job hop to a different job and get more pay there? Because, hey, I have this track record. Look at how much I sold in the last job. Oh, nice. How much you want to get paid? 120K I want to get paid. And they're like, I don't know if we can do that. We can do 110. And the last job, they were making 50. And they just didn't want to put them up. So I agree with them, with the loyalty not being something that it should be reciprocated if the companies want loyalty themselves.
Us want to work 100 hours a week, to have no piece of the pie, to
Yeah,
work for
exactly.
someone you don't respect, to do something that you don't believe in.
Yeah.
And I think for a long time, that's how we were told the world had to work. And I think a lot of folks are saying, no, maybe the world's going to work radically differently. And I think that's a good thing.
It can feel like they are challenging you or they're challenging your views, and it is up to us to really try to define it better for them.
Does it get frustrating for you as a manager?
Sometimes it does get a little bit frustrating because it does slow down a bit of efficiency.
Yes, but if you, for example, let's say a Gen Z comes into you and you say, hey, can you make me this thing? And let's say it's just a poster. Can you make me this poster? I want it to be these colors, and I want it to be this theme because we're making a Halloween poster. So these are the things we need. This is the setup we want. If you have anything to add, please add it now. If not, we're going to make it like this. Right? You're giving them some sort of allowing for some input, but you're also saying, hey, this is the idea and this is my thought process. It's much easier to accept it rather than going in, make me a Halloween poster. It's going to look like this now. Like, there's also differences. I'm not sure I agree with this in general, because even my sisters react very well to being explained why it's like that. I think that's a big problem. 100% companies aren't loyal anymore. There's no upside to staying in a job for 40 years right now. No, there's no upside. Job hopping is going to get you more pay. Naturally, that Gen Z doesn't care to stay. Exactly.
Loosely defined as those born between the mid to late 1990s and early 2010s, they're starting to enter the workforce in greater numbers. And a survey reported that 3 in 4 managers find that Gen Z is the most challenging generation to work with.
That's because they haven't really had to manage many people. They've been like, yeah, do this, slave away, shut the fuck up, and be happy with this crumbs you're getting. And people are like, okay, yeah, I guess so. I'm going to work my way up. And then they work their way up, but now you can't really work your way up the same way anymore. So it makes it even less appealing to stay.
It sounds so extreme, doesn't it? This generation got caught in a big change in the workplace. And on the flip side, companies were not prepared to know how to handle this.
I think the managers possibly who are saying things like this, they've forgotten that they themselves probably cared about similar things when they were younger.
Ziad Ahmed is
That
the
could be.
24-year-old founder of Juve Consulting, a digital marketing agency run fully by Gen Zs.
I'm the first to admit that as a Gen Zer who got up on stages at 16 years old and said, we're not going to wait our turn, we're going to make all the change that we want to make right now. Being a CEO, what Gen Z employees were asking me to make that change, right? So I see it from both sides, if you will.
Youth between the ages of 15 to 24 make up 34% of the global labor force.
Holy schnitzel. That's a lot of labor force. So I want to see the other statistic. I really want to see that.
What will the transition into the workplace mean for the future of work, and how can employers adapt?
I don't think the
There are
bad
an
rep or
estimated
misunderstood. I just think it's
1.8
both.
billion adolescents and youth between the ages of 10 and 24, making it the largest generation of young people in history. While there are no clear definitions or authority on the different generation cohorts, Gen Z, also known as Zoomers, is the demographic group sandwiched between millennials and the latest demographic cohort, Gen Alpha. Gen Z's entry into the workplace has been characterized by multiple challenges, from the COVID-19 pandemic to record inflation.
Yeah, that's another reason. Why in God's name do you want to work so hard when you can't afford anything but your flat anymore? What are you gonna do? You're gonna work to get a house and a family? When the houses are rising so much because the older generations have hoarded all the houses and sit on them? Are we serious? Are we seriously not seeing that Gen Z has a massive issue? Same with the millennials. We're having massive issues. And we have no incentive to work hard. Well, I mean, if you want to become a millionaire, yeah, then you have an incentive. But if you're just wanting to work to get 50K a year, 80K a year, and that's a good salary. That's not a bad salary even. It's still it's not worth it. At least that's what people are feeling.
And a cost of living crisis. In turn, it's led to changes in how and where we work, with the traditional office making way for more remote working.
And that's dope. It's really cool.
I try to have a work-life balance by going home on time, even if I have work left to do.
A deal breaker for me is a place which requires me to go into the office every day. I don't think I could do.
See, but that right there, I think is an entitlement issue. Because going to work every day is not a goddamn problem. That is entitlement. This is where I'm saying some of these Gen Z problems are legitimate and some of these are just whiny entitlement.
Do that. It's just way too tiring.
Folks need to know why they're at the office every day. Why are they working so hard? What is it for? Right? How do they benefit if you get that goal? Making those things clear instead of just being like, oh, you signed up for this job, just work your ass off, have no transparency into what our larger goals are, and have no purpose that binds us together. No,
I disagree with him on, because you're saying that you have to be transparent about what your larger goals are. It's still making more money. Every company wants to make more money. That's the end goal of a company, to make money. Yes, you can say, oh, our goals are profit sharing. Maybe that's the only way to be transparent like that. Or, hey, our goal is to hit 30 clients by the end of the year. But that still doesn't benefit them by being transparent.
Give me a why. Give me a how. Give me a when.
What has happened in the past, Nessa, is the generations were more prepared for the workforce than they are now. And really, this group of Gen Zs, they're the COVID remote work. So they didn't even have an opportunity to relate to people at all in a workplace. We're thrown into an environment that people who do have that experience are still struggling with. Yes, they have technical skills because they grew up holding computers in their hands, right? But
it's still, if we're all struggling being in an office, should we be in offices? That's the question. Like, why are we in these cubicles killing ourselves? You've seen Fight Club. If you haven't, fantastic film. But you're all killing yourselves in a cubicle. Everybody is. And then you're being sold wellness products because you're not well.
those skills did not apply to the workplace.
Is there a particular demographic of managers who are just impatient?
Yeah, 100%.
Yes. Clearly, those managers need help too.
However, tensions between different generations are nothing new, says Fermin Diaz, a human resources expert with more than 35 years of experience.
When the millennials first joined the workforce, the exact same amount of hype about millennials as there is now about the Gen Zs. Gen Zs, there are several things that are interesting about them. One is they don't plan to stay in one place for any length of time. That is already a challenge to HR professionals.
How long have you been in the workforce?
3 years.
How many jobs have you had before?
Wait, I have to count. This is my 4th job since graduating.
But see, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's because companies aren't incentivizing you to stay. So if a company isn't incentivizing you to stay, what is the reason to stay? If other companies are incentivizing you to get more and do better outside of this place, then you go to a different place that gives you a better opportunity. That makes sense. This is not a Gen Z problem. This is a company problem.
The new generation, of course, has access to information faster than anybody else has ever had in the past, especially after COVID.
This is true.
The idea of working from home has become more instituted in how they think. But the reality is that they really like learning. They like to have new experiences. They're really not settled in any one profession, in any one industry. So that's what makes them very hard, that they're motivated in different ways.
How ready is the workplace for different ideas?
Many companies are not there at all. We're going to have more gig and more hybrid and more part-timers. It's
for
already
sure.
here. I think the mistake is to try to say, I'm going to retain you with money.
Well, I do think that money is going to help, because the retention is also because you aren't getting promoted, you aren't getting raises. And I'm not talking about a little bit of raise. I'm talking about actually making the job worth staying. I'm not talking from 40 to 41K. I'm talking from 40 to 60 if you're actually working your way upwards, or 40 to 80. The actual getting up the CEO position, etc. It's just very little reason if you can go from 40 to 42 to 46 to 48.
I think the idea is going to be, I'm going to retain you with training, with development opportunities.
Training too is also very nice. Yeah.
Gone are the days are, particularly in advertising, of just having things like a ping pong table or having a fun interior. But Gen Zs really want more thoughtful experiences in the workplace. We've looked at expanding our health and wellness insurance, so looking at mental health.
Health and wellness. They're so stressed in the workplace that they're having health and wellness insurance. Come on, people. Overworked and underpaid, baby.
Benefits.
Communication when it comes to difficult conversations is going to be very, very challenging for the Gen Zs unless they are trained.
According to a recent survey, almost half of Gen Z workers suffer from stress or anxiety arising from factors such as increasing cost of living, workload, and climate change.
Are you not entertained?
In fact, almost 70% of Gen Zs are actively planning to minimize their carbon footprint.
And they want to define a better future for themselves and address key issues.
Like housing and not being able to get family. You know what? This is the thing I'm going to be ranting about every single goddamn time I can. I'm looking for a house now. I'm looking for a house where I can actually have more people in. Maybe I want to start a family one day. Do you know what? I can't find houses that you can start family in for an affordable price. You have to go up to like 2,000-3,000 euros a month. It is wild. It is insane. So what's the they can't even have a family. Well, they can, but I mean, you'll be poor as hell, or you have to go home to live with mom and dad.
Whether that's environmental, employment, racial, gender, they're looking at their future and they want to be drivers of meaningful change. And I think that is challenging for businesses and brands.
This sounds like it's a time for employers to really realign on what is valuable and is necessary in the workplace.
As a generation, we focus more on the emotional right now, as opposed to the older generations, which focus.
Yes, and that's another problem, because we've made a lot of people so incredibly weak that it's all about me, emotion for me. Me. Oh, I feel bad. I feel sick. My body's aching. Everybody's aching. Everybody gets sick. Everybody has problems. It's not just me. We have to actually allow to not make everything about ourselves in such a not clinically narcissistic way, but in a historical narcissistic way. I'm talking about the story of narcissists rather than the clinical psychology of it.
Focus more on the results. We need to emphasize on how we are able to bring these results and emotional well-being together so that we can increase productivity.
Again, well-being. You hear that buzzword?
Change is a sign of progress. If we're not seeing changes and new demands come in as employers, then we're not really progressing
that's a fair
as a
point.
workplace.
Pooja Chabria, who leads the editorial team in Asia Pacific at LinkedIn, adds that this stems from Gen Z's wanting to work for companies that align with their values.
And that's okay. I understand that. Like, for example, if you value a certain religion, let's say you're highly Muslim and you want to work for Muslim youth, that's a great thing, isn't it? It shouldn't be villainized to want to work for something you value, that you value as a person. What should be villainized is if you decline working with anything unless it aligns with your value, and then you become like a drain on the resources of people. I'm not saying that you shouldn't look for an ideal job that does give it to you. I'm just saying be open-minded as well.
44% of Gen Zs would, want to work for roles that are actually positively contributing to the world versus millennials, which is a much, much lower number at 37%.
In April 2023, LinkedIn added a feature to allow job seekers to filter companies based on their values.
So think of diversity, sustainability, focus on mental health, career, work-life balance, and so on.
What can workplaces sort of learn from all these values and all these attitudes that Gen Zs bring into the workplace?
That they're really picky.
Investment in learning is extremely important.
Yeah, that's
Apart
nice.
from that, creating cultural moments, right, where you actually bring Gen Zs together as well.
A new employee has no standard of comparison, regardless of generation.
So almost all of the employers in this video revealed that working with Gen Z employees can be a good challenge. However, employers are using new tactics to engage them and shape the culture for a multi-generational workforce.
I think Gen Z is asking for a construction of the workforce that allows for more people to understand why and allows more people to be able to say no.
When I talk to...
Yeah, there we have another problem. Wanting to say no is a big problem in a sense. Let me give you an example before you go, oh my God, that's stupid. For example, if you're in a media company and you've been told by Coca-Cola that you're going to be having Santa Claus and you're going to be having maybe Mickey Mouse. Maybe let's say they have a crossover, and they're saying, no, I don't like Coca-Cola and Mickey Mouse because the corporation of Disney and Coca-Cola ruined the planet. You can't say no to the job. I mean, you can say no if there's something that makes you uncomfortable, but you can't say no to the overarching job, which is making advertisements. So I think that's a very, I wouldn't hire somebody who came up to me and said, oh, your video production company takes videos of baristas? Oh, that's so 2008. I won't do that. I'm like, no, I'm not hiring you.
All these new people joining the workforce, what I tell them is pick a boss. Not
Yeah,
a company,
pick a boss.
Not a title, not even a paycheck. Because that is what's going to make the biggest difference.
Yeah, I agree.
In how
That's
you
very
find
nice.
the
Very
work
nicely said.
experience. To bosses, what I tell is understand that these people are impatient, understand that their desire is to grow and to learn, coach them. Ask them questions. They'll find out the answer. They can Google it. But challenge them and help them to grow.
So basically, be smart and be a good boss.